So, excuse me, Todd, the link, you used the link on the email I sent or the one on the calendar invite?
I used the one you sent. The one on the calendar did not work. The one that has
Okay.
the 880 number.
Okay.
And then I went back and got a new link that you had sent. But you said just in case you don't have the link, I think is the way you put it.
Okay.
And that one just got me right in.
Okay. I'm gonna try to send it to her again. So I had to change some settings on it after the fact. So I'm wondering if that just.
Yeah, it's the one you sent on Wednesday, the 21st at 11:53 a.m.
That's the one you used?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one worked fine. It had all the attachments for the meeting.
Okay.
Exactly. I got to do the same thing, had to go back through those
Yeah.
older emails
Yeah.
because the link that was there in the calendar the password didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
No. I'm on a Zoom meeting with the zoning commission. Sorry. Yeah, it hasn't started yet, so.
Okay, I'm gonna see if she'll call in. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. All right, thanks for everyone's patience. We're just trying to get our last board member on the Zoom application. Okay, I I guess we'll just give her one more minute and see what happens, as I don't want to hold everybody up from this meeting.
Has her responded to any of your information that you just sent her? Or?
I sent her the email again, and then
Okay.
I told her to call in if anything, and I gave her the
Okay.
information for that. So
Did she respond to your email?
no,
You don't have a phone number, do you?
yeah, I do. I can text it to you, Todd. Are you 740 area code or 614?
614
Okay.
286.
Yep. I did message the YouTube chat just to let them know that we're waiting for our last board member. So if anyone's tuning in, but just for the record, if anyone's tuning in on YouTube, we're just trying to get our last member on, and then we will start our meeting shortly. Thank you. Tony, are you expecting anyone else on this call?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm working with her, Michelle.
Okay. Okay, I think we got it.
Oh, wait. I
There you
just,
go.
yeah, there you go. I didn't even finish putting it in. What happened?
Okay. Yep. You're good. All right.
All right, let me get off the phone. Bye.
See you on the meeting. Bye.
All right.
All right, we're good.
Great. So, Christine, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, but I'm not even sure if I'm muted or not?
You are not muted, so I can hear you.
Oh, and I continue here. Let me,
All right, well, let's get started with the meeting. So we are running a little bit late. So Adam, if it's all right, I'd like to call roll.
Yes, please.
Mr. Pahovich,
Here.
Mr. McNulty,
Here.
Mr. Dove,
Here.
Mr. Bellis,
here.
and Ms. Holt.
Here.
All right, we have a full quorum. Adam, if you'd like to read the swearing in of witnesses, that would be great.
Yep. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State, I do.
Do.
And when it's your turn to offer testimony, please state your full name, address, and affirm that you've been sworn in. Anyone who intends to offer comments or testimony through the online chat room function also needs to be sworn in remotely. Before your initial comment, please type your name, address, and the words "I affirm" to indicate that you solemnly swear that the testimony that you are offering is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right, great. So we have a couple things on the agenda, but before we start with the new application, I'd like to introduce our new zoning commission members to the team. Leslie Pierce is our newest regular member on the zoning commission, so we welcome him on the board. And we also have Mr. Rick Beer on the line too as our new alternate member. So I'm happy to say we have fulfilled all the positions or all the appointments of the zoning commission. And I think we'll be providing some new materials for everybody soon, especially with the overlay district coming into place. So everybody will get a new code book. And then Leslie and Rick, I will fill you in over the next few weeks of some things to share as far as some materials we review prior to you starting on or participating in one of our regular meetings. So welcome to the commission, and we're excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
I know Rick a little bit from years past, just kind of what their background is. So I know if we're coming from attorneys or civil engineers or what your background is, your profession.
Yeah, so for me, my current background is in housing. So I work with family housing, contract administration work specifically.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
to that, I own a couple of businesses in Texas and Indiana.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes,
Rick?
welcome on board. Thanks.
Rick, are you there? Oh, it seems like you're unmuted, Rick. I don't know if you can hear me.
Muted.
Are you there, Rick?
All right. Well,
I think he's having problems with this mic. I hear beeping, but well, Rick, we welcome you. And if you can hear us, thanks for tuning in. And hopefully we can figure out your audio either later on in the meeting or hopefully before the next time we have a meeting too. So I guess we'll move forward. Actually, let me pull up the legal notice for this. All right, Adam, if it's all right, I'd like to start with the new application and read the legal notice.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Orange Township Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 27, 2020 at 7 p.m. to consider the following application. Zoning application number ZON-20-02 of BZ Evans. The application is an amendment to the currently effective zoning development plan for plus or minus 125.1 acres within the Evans Farm Plan Commercial District. Approved under applications number 15-0104. Zone 16-02 and Zone 18-05. The area being amended is located along the north side of Lewis Center Road, east of the railroad tracks, and west of the Meadows at Lewis Center subdivision. The area that is being amended includes the following parcels, which is identified on the screen here. I believe because of the virtual matters, I don't need to read it all. So and we did publish that notice at least 10 days before and notified all the adjacent property owners. And then for the board's consideration, I did provide a staff report this evening addressing all the amendments that the applicant is proposing. We considered it a minor amendment, as we believe is with as large of a scale as Evans Farm is. We hope to try to address things all at once, but over the years, while the development is occurring, we've come across a few things that I've worked with Tony Ironman as far as addressing them now to help with not only better interpretation of the code, but with their future plans in place. I think this will help the development continue to move forward. So a staff report was provided. You do have the materials. I made note in my last email that we made some changes to some of the exhibits as we needed to update a few things that we noticed with the initial submittal. But all of that has been shared to the commission members, and we do have a recommendation drafted tonight for the board's consideration. But if it's all right, I'd like to open it up to the applicant if you'd like to give a brief overview of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Tony.
Good evening. I'm Tony Ironman. I'm with Evans Farm. Our mailing address is 1550 Lewis Center Road, Suite B, Lewis Center 43035. I affirm that I've been sworn in. Is there anything else I was supposed to do?
No,
Okay.
that's it. Thanks, Tony.
We submitted a package of several pages back in September for tonight's hearing, and what my intentions are this evening is to refer back consistently with the development text, the sheet that's entitled development text. It's a one-pager, and it has 2 paragraphs that are bullet pointed and then subparagraphs under the second. Yes, that one. Thank you. I pirated the format of the text off of previous submittal and approval that we went through back in 2018, and Mike McCarthy had written this up, so I figured just format it the same way. So there's nothing sacred about the formatting, but it's worked. So our intentions this evening are very simple. I'm with Evans Farm. I'm also part of the board, the BZ Evans group, which is developing the commercial portion of Evans Farm in Orange Township and in Berlin Township. We have, back in 2018, we approached the township and were approved for moving a number of the multifamily units that were in the planned commercial area that were originally identified in the location where the YMCA was to be sited, move them to the west and move them further to the east. The YMCA, in a conversation within the last 30 days or so, is still very much interested in locating at Evans Farm. It's our site is considered one of the prime spots for a new YMCA. They've undertaken a number of studies and done due diligence. Their current holdup is this wonderful coronavirus that has caused them probably a 2-year setback, according to Tony Collins, who's the Central Ohio head of the YMCA, but he's still very much interested in being here. Our intentions this evening are probably identified in the first 5 bullets of the subparagraph 2 on the development text. Relocating again some of the multifamily units to other portions. As we plan out one area, we don't need the remaining that were identified in that area, so we're asking to move them back. To be very clear, we were approved back in 2016, the original Evans Farm PCD approval for 496 multifamily dwelling units in Orange Township. And that was to be split between the area along Lewis Center Road that's shown on the Exhibit D as well as around the oval, which is not included in this, but it's still very much part of our plan. What we'd like to do this evening is, without changing the total number of approved dwelling units, is relocate those again to the best locations we have identified at this point. And that's what the first sub-paragraph bullet point is we're not changing the 496. On the Exhibit D, which is the updated development plan, it illustrates under on the far west side at the corner of North Road and Lewis Center Road, 109 multifamily units. The intention for those is empty nesters. There'll be flats, one-story flats, 2 bedrooms. We're in the process of going through the final engineering and the approvals on that right now. There you go. Thank you, Michelle. Moving to the east, approved originally in the 2016 development plan were townhomes along the south side of Red Oak Street on both sides of Evans Farm Drive. I believe that's townhomes number 1 through 10, if I'm not mistaken. And those included 63 townhomes and 4 live-work units. And we're proposing as part of the zoning amendment tonight, townhomes 1 through 11. I shorted myself 1 building. We're proposing townhomes 12 through 15. And just this week, we've discovered that townhome 15 is sitting on top of a major electric and sanitary easement. So what we'll do is we'll consolidate those units 12 through 15 into 3 buildings instead of 4, and leave the east end of that open for a open plaza area. But that there'll be 20 townhomes there plus 2 live works, 1 on each end, building 12 and building 14 instead of 15. And then on commercial building 1 and commercial building 2 on the east side of Evans Farm Drive, we have 52 flats, if you will, apartments above the first floor retail. And the reason I'm going through all these numbers is because of the 496 approved multifamily units, approximately 250 are already assigned to these 3 areas between the area west of the tracks, the townhomes, and buildings 1 and 2 in the commercial. The oval, which isn't on this plan, but it's up in an integral part of the community. It's more of a neighborhood type of commercial area. We had originally planned for between 100 and 110 multifamily units. And then we'd always planned for, in a conceptual way, allowing for about 100 senior and assisted living multifamily units on the west side of Pyatt Road, just south of the West Lake. So that allows for approximately 50 additional multifamily units. What we're asking for in our zoning tonight, moving to sub paragraph bullet point number 2 on the development text, is to delete the Exhibit A, which identifies where these units are going to be, and allow us a little flexibility for the last 50 or so units. Because I think what we'd like to do is line the west side of Evans Farm Drive on the development plan and build commercial buildings 3 and 4 with the additional 50 or so multifamily units to mirror image commercial buildings 1 and 2.
We aren't changing any of the total numbers though, Tony, are we?
Exactly. No, Todd, we haven't changed at all since our original approval back in 2016.
Okay, we're just moving locations.
Exactly.
And if we get rid of that Exhibit A, do we have somewhere in there what those total numbers are?
Yes, yeah, it's outlined in the development text.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
And I think this will, and just to support Tony's proposal, I think this will avoid Tony having to come again if something does, even if a building shifts and then somehow it's in a different sub area. And, staff was in support as long as the unit count remains the same in the overall development.
All right, I'll be honest, I initially had concerns when you were moving multifamily around, because we had talked about way back when that the multifamily would be sort of a buffer between the commercial and the single family.
Mhm.
But it seems like you're really not moving them around drastically. You're just sort of nudging them over slightly from here and there, if I could say that. So that where the townhomes are, pretty much where the townhomes are going to be, it's just you're tweaking it slightly. The only thing I noticed I think is different is, I guess, where Area A was between North Road, Lewis Center Road, and the railroad tracks.
Mhm.
At one time, I think we were talking about commercial along the railroad tracks. But correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, is the area Short Street and above, is that where the new North Farms has been approved?
It is currently under approve, or the decision has not been made at the trustee yet.
Okay,
But
all
yes,
right. I will rephrase that. It's under consideration.
yes.
So I was a little concerned, but if the North Farms is under consideration to be approved, and that is also residential, I have no objections to having neighboring residential. If people want to live right by the railroad tracks, that's my only sort of concern. But yeah, overall, I'm not that worried about it. Thank you, Tony, for giving us a presentation explaining. And I actually do like the idea of you mirroring commercial building 1 and 2 on the west side of Evan Farms Drive. So I don't have a problem with that either.
And we're still okay with parking counts, Tony, since we have A and J over parking lots now?
We are, and our parking counts are still in good shape. We are aware, one of the permitted uses, and we're keenly aware of this, one of the permitted uses in the plain commercial area are parking decks. And if needed, we are capable and ready to move forward with the parking deck if it's necessary, yes.
Okay.
I thought we had provisions for shared parking at one time. Are
That
those
too.
still? Okay.
Yeah. One of the things, and it was introduced by me as a protection of the vision and what was approved originally in 2016 and amended in 18. We have Exhibit B, which is a land use matrix. And there were, on the second page of the matrix that we submitted under the residential, we've identified that the multifamily can be located in other areas that were originally considered prohibited uses. The reason I bring this forward, even to be more clear about it, our intention back then and our intention remains the same, that we're not taking the commercial area and making it first floor apartments. We're retaining the streetscape as a retail office type of marketplace. And the flats and the multifamily units in the areas in the core of the retail area are still proposed only for permitted on upper floors only. If you look at that, that's what the U's in areas B and C identify. Certain areas where the P is there is a permitted use, but those are townhomes, and those have to be in areas C3 and C4, which are the newly introduced townhomes on the south side of the original approved townhomes. I wish I had it for you. It's probably about 2 weeks too soon. I forwarded to Michelle this morning architects' elevations of the townhomes that front onto Red Oak. The townhomes, there you go. That's the other hemisphere, but yeah, okay, there you go. Thank you, Michelle. The townhomes are very handsome. They're a mix of brick and painted facades. We intended it to be a variety. Along Evans Farm Drive, it's the same facade, but it's all brick on both sides of Evans Farm. And as it turns onto Red Oak, they tend to relate more towards the residential units on the north side of Red Oak, single family units on the north side of Red Oak. So some are painted, some are brick. I can tell you the one with the cupola, which is the bottom elevation, the cupola sits at the terminus of Hickory Drive. So it gives a terminal view as you drive south on Hickory, and that's your vision as you come south. It was intended to be a focal point, and we're reinforcing that focal point with the cupola, and it's a really attractive white sided house that it takes on very much a residential look to it, single family residential look to it. But that's an example. On the south, the townhomes 12, 13, and 14 are going to have a little bit more of a retail kind of look, even though they'll still be townhomes. We've pirated a concept that we really enjoyed down at Norton Commons, and they have 2-story retail townhome kind of looks, and we're using those with the brick and painted materials as well. It's the exact same floor plans. We're just changing the facades. And then Michelle just put up, I think that's building 1, commercial building number 1. We apologize for all the notes and clouds and everything, but that's the most current plan we have. Brick and siding again. We have 2 or 3 different brick materials to kind of give a little bit of the Westerville or Delaware or Worthington look of individual units as they were developed over time. The 4th floor, while it looks like a solid piece, is actually cut out because the 4th floor has fewer number of apartments on there with garden space, outdoor garden spaces. So it breaks up that roof line a bit and adds a real attractive space there for the residents, as well as keeps the architectural elevation moving and very attractive in that too. And then the top piece, the top elevation is the southern elevation facing out to Lewis Center Road on building 1. We're in the process right now of working on streetscape, on colors and signs and awnings, site furnishings, pavements, bringing it very much to a pedestrian scale. Even though you're walking alongside a 4-story building, the window shopping and the awnings and all the things I mentioned will very much bring this to a pedestrian scale. And don't hold me to this because I don't know exactly, but I think this building has 2 restaurants in it. It has 1 office. It has I'm trying to remember a couple service areas. I know they're looking for some sort of a barber shop or something that ties into old retail that would be found in a street such as this in an old community. And then above that, obviously, are apartments. And we have a couple decks, if you will, or outdoor patios that project, balconies, if you will, but they really don't project out very far. But really an attractive looking building, and 4-sided architecture, of course. And I think this building here has 26 units in it, and then the other building to the north has the same number, if I'm not mistaken. but this is our intent through the entire commercial areas, retail first floor, apartments second, except where the townhomes are located and the live works are located too. Moving on, and I've just kind of zipped through item second, third, and fourth bullet points, if you will. The fifth bullet point is really the last part of the zoning application, if you will, and then the last three are kind of updates, which we've already kind of intertwined as well. Bullet point number 5, we're proposing to relocate the one permitted land use in sub area A, which was fueling and service, from sub area A to sub area B1. And the reason for that is because the home road extension is coming through. If you haven't been across the home road extension from home to the railroad tracks, it's quite a nice layout. And I'll give the Orange Township every bit of the credit for the alignment of that, because we went through with Kerbler's rezoning that whole land use plan and the approval. And it feels really nice as you drive through there. But ultimately, once it crosses the bridge at the railroad tracks, it'll come up and tie into the roundabout on the development plan, which is Exhibit D again. On the northwest corner in that area right there, we're proposing some sort of a convenience store. I told someone today I'd propose it as an ice cream shop with gas pumps out front. But it's and if you want to buy that, you can, but it's a convenience store, and it isn't very hard to figure out who's interested, whoever has ice cream with gas pumps. But they're very much interested in locating here. It's a pretty logical place to put it. It's not exactly on the main track. Lewis Center Road will tie into Big Walnut, which is the Big Walnut interchange at 71, which will come across to the roundabout, and then swing south to Home Road and tie over to 23. So whether it's that corner or the parcel next to it, it's pretty important corner, very high visibility, eventually it will become very high traffic area too. Yeah, the roundabout is located at the corner of B1 and C2. And that street C south is actually Pyatt Road. And
so you're wanting the fuel station in the B section, is that right?
B1 right along that frontage there along Lewis Center Road. And what we're probably looking at is actually not the corner, but to the left of that, at that access off of Lewis Center Road right there. Yeah.
So the roundabout, that's not the existing round. I'm confused.
No. There's a new roundabout that the county will bring in when they bring the home road extension to Lewis Center Road. And I think that's scheduled for 2023. And the roundabout will obviously east-west will service Lewis Center Road. South will be Home Road. And then north will be Pyatt. And that's Street C South on the sub-area plan right there.
So the break between A and B is the railroad tracks?
Yes.
So we're across from the existing Lewis Center uptown?
That's B2.
Okay, so we're just past that.
Yes.
So we are in front of some residential?
Yes.
I guess my only concern on this whole thing so far has been and I don't know what was agreed upon for square footage. 15,000 square feet for a convenience store is awfully large.
Well, it was a typographical error, and we've actually got a better number than 15,000, but the typographical error just moved a comma one spot over, and that was a mistake on my part, and I'm all thumbs, and I'll plead that one. But in working with a couple one convenience store in particular, they were saying they think they'd be able to fit in at 8,500 square feet.
Yeah.
Which is probably, and you and Christine, I'm sure, have good handle on that, probably far better than me, because I've only spoken with them once. But they thought about 8,500 square feet would be more than enough for them for their store facility.
I mean, a Turkey Hill is about 3,500. The Friendship Food Store that's on 23, it's about 5,000. I mean, those are big. We did a small concept Kroger at 12,000. That's a grocery store.
Yeah, I also have concerns with the 15,000. When I first read that, I thought you meant, are you including the fuel canopies in the outdoor space? Because I'm with Todd, and Todd, you just continue because you have all the numbers down as far as I'm concerned. That 15,000, especially across from Old Lewis Center, which is very small houses and very small shops, as it were, it's going to overpower them as far as I'm concerned. That's my 2 cents.
Could we take that down to 7,000 or 7,500 square feet? And those are the numbers that they were giving us that they could live with. And the other thing too is I was intentionally pulling it back off of Lewis Center Road when I was looking at it, just to bring it into more, the ice cream part of it, more into the walkability to the community.
Todd, you mentioned 8,500 before. You said
Yeah. They threw a couple numbers out, and I'm always going to start high, but if we can come into something that's agreeable in that range, that would be more than acceptable to us.
Oops, sorry.
I don't know what the magical number is, Tony. I just know 15 is awfully large.
Yeah. Todd, Michelle, do you remember what the square footage was for the last convenience that we approved off of Powell Road? And that was in the middle of a commercial area.
Oh, the Turkey Hill.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that large.
They're usually around 3,500.
Yeah, but that also had a couple restaurant aspects to it. I think that one was closer in that $5,000-6,000 or 6,000 square foot range. I'm pretty sure, because it had a Popeyes or whatever, but that was still less than the 15,000.
Yeah,
drastically less. And that
So
was
I think,
predominant
yeah,
area.
I think to Tony's point that the original text said it was 1,500, but that was a typo. So I think it was meant, or right? Is that my understanding?
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then the comma was shifted. So that's kind of why we came to 15,000. But if the applicant and the commission agreed to lowering it, I think.
I think there would have been a lot more commentary in the initial application if it was 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A 40 by 40 gas station convenience store is not very large. So I'll flat out admit it was my mistake, but it wasn't intended as a bait and switch either. So if something the size of the Friendship store over on 23 at Lewis Center, if that's what,
I don't know what that one is. I just know they average around 5,000 square feet is kind of their largest. I don't know what the one is on 23. Again, to me, that looks pretty big for 23. I don't know what it's going to look like along Lewis Center.
I guess, were there discussions that 15,000 was mentioned in previous meetings, and then it just in the text it was incorrectly input, or was this just in the text and never?
Adam, in fairness to the township, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No,
Adam, in fairness to the township, there were a lot of discussions on everything, but when it came to convenience store and the square footage, I don't recall any conversation at all. And it was just my mistake.
no, yeah. So again, if the board disagrees, let me know. But what I would recommend here is I would think that if we were to do half that, or 7,500 square feet, I think everybody would be a lot more comfortable with that number. that still allows for a typical convenience store and a rather large ice cream portion or restaurant aspect to it. And I don't know if everybody thinks that that's still too high, but I think that would be more appropriate.
What is the average? I mean, I think someone said the average size of a convenience store is about 5,000, and the average Turkey Hill is what size?
About 3,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do convenience stores, and they're generally around 5,000 square feet, but they always have something additional to them, whether it's a Dunkin' Donuts or something, and they go up to 6,000 to 7,000 square feet, like that is the largest we've done. So I would say that puts that in the same ballpark if we were at 7,500, just a little bit over. But that's. Yeah, I mean, I think Todd's right. Like 5,000, I don't think is anything outrageous. That's pretty common for a lot of C stores.
Yeah, and my issue is with the larger size, I'll be honest. The larger size might be fine on 23 or might be fine on Polaris Parkway or Powell Road. But this, and I know Lewis Center Road is going to be widened. It's going to be a major thoroughfare. But when you look at it now and you look at what's across the street, which is old Lewis Center, I'm afraid that size of a convenience store is going to overpower that small retail area across the street. And I know that was one of our concerns when we were zoning this in the first place, is that we do have a historic Lewis Center. Granted, it's not a lot, but there are some buildings that are still left there that I really don't want to harm and overpower them. So just for me, this is just my opinion, I would prefer to err on the small side. And if they come back and say they can't do it, we can discuss it again if you actually have a real live applicant. But I would err on the side of caution and on the small side. But that's just my personal opinion. If the board feels otherwise, that is fine.
I would agree to err on the smaller side as well, for sure, just for the sake of it being residential and the historical part of Lewis Center as well.
I'd like to think the typo wasn't the comma, it was the one in front.
Great minds are thinking alike here. I was just looking up the zoning text, and the eating and drinking places in Exhibit B of the approved text allows for a 5,000 square foot structure. Would that?
I'd be happy with that.
I'd be happy with 5,000 as the cap.
I concur.
Okay.
Didn't I see a card that Starbucks,
Any other?
Raiders is coming?
We'd be happy with the 5,000 and like.
What was that, Tony? Or, I'm sorry, Todd. About
Didn't I see a card of businesses that are coming in, and Graders was one of them?
There's conversations going with graders.
Oh, okay. Maybe a little competition.
Johnson's is also out of Bexley. I grew up with Johnson's not that I lived in Bexley, but out on East Main Street. Johnson's is a 5th generation ice cream shop, and we've had some good conversations with them as well.
Okay.
And anyone who says ice cream is ice cream doesn't know ice cream.
Yeah. Like donuts.
There you go. The last 3 sub paragraph bullet points, 6, 7, and 8, were intended as more of an update. And we've talked about Exhibit D and the updated development plan that we've submitted. This is other than the utility and its impact on townhome 15 and just shifting that around. This is about as accurate as we can be at this point. I want to point out Market Street and the open space in the center there. It's a tip of the hat to Hyde Park down in Cincinnati, which has a park in the center of their Market Street. I can't remember the name of their Market Street, but it's that wide. It's large enough to be used as a park and has monuments and seating and a fountain in it in Hyde Park. And our intention is to landscape it and treat it similarly. But the commercial area, not surprisingly, I think it was good design early on. Of the market area, basically east of the tracks, is pretty much held pretty close to the form that we submitted and what was approved by the township. We're still having conversations with a number of users. Actually, the intention is, and this is just preliminary estimating and scheduling here, but as buildings 1 and 2 finish, and they're proposed, that if you've been out there, it's a muddy mess at the moment, but the pads are being formed, and they've already started excavation on some of the townhome foundations. But as soon as buildings 1 and 2 are completed, our intentions are now to roll across to buildings 3 and 4. So if it's 2022 that commercial buildings 1 and 2 will be finished, then there's a pretty reasonable projection that buildings 3 and 4 will be finished in 2023. And then the extension of Market Street to the west, simply market driven at that point. But it's pretty exciting stuff, and we're really pleased that it's finally moving forward. And we've seen a lot of good positive feedback. We've received a lot from the residents as well as neighbors, and people are starting to come in from, surprisingly, from Chicago and New York and some of the larger towns, and everyone just wants to be in Orange Township, I guess, and I understand why, you know. Bullet point 7, you don't have anything on that, but we've been working with, it's in direct relation to section 1407N, which is the track coverage for the overall site. And the way it was approved, that we would comply, we would agree, and we still agree to comply with the 45% coverage and the 75% overall coverage of hardscape and buildings on the 125 acre commercial area. And we are working with Michelle and her staff on a spreadsheet so we can keep tabs on staying within that 45 and 75% guideline or standard that we've agreed to through the entire planned commercial district in Orange Township. But it's something that I don't know if anyone's ever done before, but at the same time, no one's ever built a town center with so many moving parts. We just want to make sure that we live up to our agreement, and the township has a way to keeping track of that with us. So, and then the bullet point 8 basically goes right back to items 1, 2, particularly build item number subparagraph 1. We're not asking for any change in density. We're not asking for any change in area. What we agreed to in the overall PCD in density and maximum dwelling units, we remain committed to, and we're not asking for any changes to that. And with that, I'll answer any other questions anyone might have.
Yeah, Tony, I just have a couple here. So going back to the first bullet point there for the 496 dwelling units, I just want to make sure I heard these numbers right. So it's something that you were saying on the commercial buildings where you have units above retail. I think you said they were the commercial 1 and 2, and then those townhomes in that area off of Evans Farms Drive, plus all the units over by the railroad there. You said made up about 150 of those units of the 496. Was that correct?
Actually, it's about 250.
Okay, 250. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're asking for flexibility on about 50 units. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah, basically what we're looking at is mirroring commercial buildings 1 and 2 with flats above along both sides of Evans Farm Drive.
Okay.
And that's about 50 units. And that's what we're proposing to move over in commercial buildings 3 and 4.
Okay. So then the remaining, I guess 196 units, those were planned elsewhere and to remain, or those kind of still?
The original plan that we were approved with in 2016 showed an area just south of the West Lake, which on the Exhibit D is labeled the Basin.
Yep.
That's a 3 or 4 acre lake. If you have kids and you want to take them fishing, it's a great place to catch big fish. But just south of that, we had planned on, initially had planned on senior and assisted living housing there. And
Okay.
that was approximately 100 units. And then the Oval originally was approved for about 100 or 110 units as well. So the balance of what's not on the plan right now is what we have left to total the 496.
Okay, great. All right. That helps clear things up. The only other thing I had was on the application, you had mentioned that you wanted to amend a re-row and do a full access. Is that
was proposed and I apologize. I skipped right over that when we got into the square footages for the convenience store. Originally the access that's shown on the development plan and on the sub area plan was originally shown as a right in, right out. And while we understand we have to work with the county engineer on that, we wanted to make sure that we weren't misrepresenting ourselves, that originally it was a right in, right out. We wanted to be clear with you guys that we're proposing a full service that will align with one of the public roads across the street in the old Lewis Center. And if I suspect that if the county engineer will allow it, that we would have to put a right turn into that or a left turn into that on the eastbound side, simply to keep the cars from stacking across the railroad tracks.
So is that shown on the Exhibit D? I think it is with the site plan. Is that
if you want to, if not to use a traffic term, but it's called a pork chop, the island in the right in, right out.
Yep.
And the pork chop has been removed on that. And then it's also not shown on the sub area plan that we submitted as well.
But we're not talking about the access that's, I guess, would be east on this plan of future building M, correct? That's not the re-row you're talking about, making full access.
The re-row is left of or west of the roundabout.
Okay, got it. All right.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I saw regional planning didn't feel the need to review this, but yeah, I think obviously being so close to that roundabout, there may be some type of safety concern there, but you know, it's like you mentioned, it's going to have to go through Delaware for that. So, okay.
The county engineer, I suspect if he allows it, will cause us to do a right lane in on the westbound side and a left turn lane. So we'll have to widen that portion of Lewis Center Road to the north. Everything widens to the north along here. One lane to allow for that left and right in, if we're permitted from the county engineer to remove the right in, right out.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thanks, Tony. That's all I had.
All right. Thanks for clarifying that, Tony and Adam. I had that same question as well. And to be honest, I have concerns about, like you said, having a full access right by the traffic circle. but I will trust that the county engineers know what they're supposed to do and figure that out. So I will rely on them.
So was there any other comments from the board?
Nope, I'm good.
I didn't have anything else.
All
I'm
right.
good.
Okay.
I did draft a recommendation for this evening, and then as everybody was discussing the fueling station and the convenience store, I did add a stipulation that to modify the section of development text that a convenience store is permitted and shall be limited to no more than 5,000 square feet of gross floor area. If the applicant can accept that stipulation, I think we're ready to move forward with the recommendation.
Michelle, did we have any comments from the online chat room or forum or whatever?
Yes, let me just check one last time. We did not receive any comments on the YouTube chat.
Okay.
Thanks for checking though.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Can I get a motion to recommend approval for zoning application dash ZON dash 20 dash 02 regarding Evans Farms PC with stipulations?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of zoning application ZON-20-02 regarding Evans Farm PC with stipulations. Moved by Todd Dove to recommend to the Board of Township Trustees the approval of zoning application ZON-20-02 of BZ Evans, requesting the amendment of the currently effective development plan for Evans Farms Plan Commercial and Office District, applications number 15-0104, ZON-16-02, and ZON-18-05. Further move that this recommendation is for the amendment in accordance with the changes to the development text and exhibits A, B, C, and D reflected in the revised versions of the text and exhibits, all submitted by the applicant in a hard copy binder, the pages of which are stamped received with Orange Township zoning above and September 22nd, 2020 superimposed over received by Orange Township zoning, in addition to a revised exhibit B stamped received with Orange Township zoning above and October 14th, 2020 superimposed over received by Orange Township zoning, is modified by those stipulations listed for correction, modification, and the statement of stipulations attached hereto as attachment A and incorporated herein by reference, all of which stipulations have been agreed to by the applicant. Further move that all portions of the previously approved application and development plan of application number 15-0104 as modified by application ZON-16-02 and ZON-18-05 that are not changed herein shall continue in full force and effect.
And Todd, just to modify the recommendation, I made an error. The date that we received the date that we received the text is September 25th.
I'm not rereading it.
That's okay. I just wanted to make note for the record that I had to change that in the recommendation.
Okay, we don't need to do anything with the statement of stipulations. Since
You stated it in the recommendation.
okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we just need a second.
I'll go ahead and second it.
Okay, great. Those voting, Mr. Pahovich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
Ms. Trevellis,
Yes.
Mr. Dove,
Yes.
and Ms. Alt.
Yes.
Okay, great. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks.
All right, now on to the fun stuff. Meeting minutes.
There's three, but they're pretty short, so
Yeah. Right.
hopefully. Did anyone have any comments on the August 25th set of minutes?
I did not.
Nope, I did not.
I
Nope,
did
I'm
not.
good.
I had no comments either.
Okay, well then I will recommend approval of the August 25th, 2020 Route 23 corridor meeting minutes.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Pahovich, second by Mr. McNulty on approving the August 25th, 2020 zoning commission minutes. Those voting, Mr. Pahovich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
Ms. Trevellis,
Yes.
Mr. Dove,
Yes.
and Ms. Alt.
Yes.
And then next is from September 1st. I did have a couple comments, but I can let if the board wants to have any first. Or if it's okay, I can go on with some of the comments that I noticed.
Yeah, if there's no other comments, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. There was a typo here on line 17 when Mr. Bahavich read the stating of witness or stating of witnesses under the on line 17. It should be following your initial comment. Please type your name, address, and I affirm to indicate that you've been sworn in. And then there was a couple of times on when Joe Thomas was presenting on line 33, instead of the word overlay, it should be overview. And I noticed the same thing on line 57, that it should be overview instead of overlay. And I think that is all I had. Oh, I had one more, I'm sorry. On line 217, there was just a typo. The word, it looks like it's the word ion, and it just should be on the chat room. And that's all the corrections I had.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm not part of the zoning for North Farm, so I cannot comment.
Okay.
Okay, I recommend to approve the September 1st, 2020 minutes for ZON-20-01 reserve at North Farms as amended.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Pahovich to approve the zoning commission minutes from September 1st, 2020 regarding the North Farms application. Second by Mr. McNulty. Those voting, Mr. Pahovich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
Mr. Dove.
I tend not to like to vote for these since I'm not there, but since we probably need more than 2 votes, I'll vote yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Trevellis?
I was told I can vote yes, even though I did not attend the meeting. So like Todd,
Yes.
I will approve.
Okay. And then Ms. Alt.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, we got all the votes. And then the last set of minutes is from September 15th, 2020, and I had no comments on this one. That was an organizational meeting that we had.
Yeah, no comments from me either.
No comments. It was a very short meeting, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I recommend approval for the September 15th, 2020 meeting minutes for the organizational meeting.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Pahovich to approve the zoning commission minutes from September 15th, 2020 and regarding an organizational meeting. Second by Mr. McNulty. Those voting, Mr. Pahovich,
Yes.
Mr. McNulty,
Yes.
Mr. Dove,
Abstain?
Mr. Bellis,
Yes.
and Ms. Alt.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I do have one other item on the agenda. As you all know, that the Board of Trustees did approve the Route 23 overlay district at their October 5th hearing, and it'll become effective on November 5th. And we anticipate several applications in the beginning. So we wanted to line up our calendar as soon as possible for their first round of submittals. We will have a very busy holiday season, but I guess that's something to do during these times. But I talked to you all at the last our organizational meeting on September 15th, making sure that Tuesday evenings were okay with the board. So I do have that outlined here under the work session. So it would be once a month. And depending on the amount of cases, we can add additional hearings if needed. But they are proposed to be the first Tuesday of every month. And I'm sorry.
How's that gonna, are we changing the schedule then of our regular scheduled meetings?
So I purposely picked the Tuesday because right now we tend to lean towards, well, I guess we do the first and third Tuesday of the month. So we will have to adjust it for 2021.
And what happens if we don't have a quorum for this meeting?
It would move forward to the trustees.
Okay. But we now have 2 alternates as well?
Yes, I was
Okay.
I was hoping to get the zoning commission fully staffed
Okay.
for this. So, and I purposely, it's the first meeting would be on December 8th because we have a regular zoning commission meeting on December 1st, I believe. And I am anticipating a hearing on that date. I should be getting a new application soon. So moving forward in 2021, it would be the first Tuesday of the month, just to work with the timing of it. But I'll have to address that, and I plan on providing the new new regular calendar to you all at our next meeting.
What is the meeting we have on the 1st?
I haven't announced it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm expecting a new application in the next few days. Mm-hmm.
I didn't have my calendar.
Okay, so what I'm hearing correctly, we'll have 2 calendars. We'll have the standard zoning commission meeting calendars, which will be like the 3rd Tuesday. And then the first Tuesday will be the Route 23 overlay. Is that correct?
Yes, and we can talk about that this evening. So typically on our regular zoning commission calendar, we have 2 meetings a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know if we still want to do that because I thought it would be better if these work sessions were separate from our hearing dates, but I anticipate the majority of our applications will be within this overlay. But I did want to have 2 separate ones because I don't think it would be too much to work for. It's 2 different types of reviews at this point, so.
No, I just wanted clarification because in my life, the more calendars I have, the more confusing things get. But I understand.
I can first, for the commission's members' sake, I can put one master calendar together. That's fine. I just have to have 2 separate ones because of the applications. But I'm happy to put one total. But if we do this, it would probably be the first, second, and third Tuesday of the month. So.
And we're still trying not to double up, is that correct?
I think it's going to be impossible to not double up for the work session. So we'll have to.
Okay.
To be honest, I am expecting 4 or 5 applications on the first submittal. So we'll have to I'm thinking about giving them, similar to how I'm approaching the next informal meeting, is giving them 30-minute intervals, and then
Okay.
just to try to keep it for everybody's time's sake. So,
All right, because I have concerns about doubling up. If they're complex, if they're simple, I have no problems with it. You will have reviewed them ahead of time, so please be aware. I'm afraid that if we double up and they're complex, it's going to make for a very long evening. And
well, yeah, unfortunately, the way the Route 23 overlay text is written is that it will be one work session 2 weeks from the
exactly. Yeah.
So if I get 5 on November 24th, then 5 will be discussed on December 8th. So I will have to, unless I can work with the applicant,
Mhm.
to
Case, yes.
yes. So that's the only I don't find this is not going to be an issue after the first few months. It's just the way the trustees ended up finalizing the text. It's a lot of first come, first serve. So
Okay. Then I would suggest, like you said, that we think about, like you said, time limits of give us a brief presentation. Just to make sure that we're not there for like 5 hours or something.
Yeah, well, I think it's really, we need to do our homework and come with our questions or concerns to get them in a document that then goes to the trustees. We don't want them spending 25 minutes presenting. And Adam, I don't mean to, this is just my opinion. You're the chair, but we definitely want to be able to get our comments. I mean, that's why we fought for this work session meeting. So.
Right. No, Todd, I agree with you. I mean, Michelle, I forget where we landed on this, but the actual work session is just the zoning board, correct? It's not that the applicant's not going to be present for that meeting, correct?
They can be.
They can be, but they don't have to be, right?
No, they don't have to be. So, I mean, if we just wanted, it's going to be a public meeting no matter what. So if the applicant chooses to show up, they can.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, obviously they have to be there for the trustee meeting. That's the big discussion, but for our sake, I guess we'll just have to see how this goes. I don't even know if they will be, showing up, or, it's going to be 50-50 or how that is going to play out. But, if they are there, I agree, Todd, we don't want to, if we're getting that many applicants up front, we don't want to let this turn into a 3-hour meeting or not even get to everybody. So,
yeah. And I'm sorry, Todd.
The bigger question is, what are we going to do when the public shows up, when the multifamily is going next to their EPCON house? How are we going to deal with them?
So the public notifications would only be for the trustee hearings.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it seems to me that Todd's right. We'd have to do our homework, because the most we can do with this is add comments. So that means we've got to understand all these before the meeting, because there won't be a presentation.
So the question I have, because I agree, homework is definitely imperative, is how long, we have a week before the meeting to review the information. Is that correct?
So I will get it 2 weeks in advance. I will do my absolute best to get it to you by the end of the day, on the 24th or on the 25th. So you have something to do over the holiday.
Michelle,
I probably won't be traveling, so
See, I knew it.
So Michelle, you're going to always try to get us as close to 2 weeks as possible before our zoning work session. So we have your comments, and then we can do our homework and get everything squared away. So then we're prepared for the work session meeting.
Yes, that's correct. And also, just to let the commission know, for the first, I think at least for the first 3 months of these, I did sign and renegotiate a contract with the planning consultant to help us get through these. So she was the one that put the text together, and hopefully she'll be attending these work sessions and helping us review these applications.
And then I have a sort of procedural thing. After our work session, are you typing up the comments? Who is typing up the comments? So that's something we can forward any sort of concerns we might have had in terms of our homework.
Yeah, I think I will be working with Holly Maddie on typing the comments together. And I think after reading the minutes, I think Adam mentioned trying to do a similar format as how regional planning does.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll go that approach and see how you all like it. And then we'll just go from there.
Okay, so that's something that, like I said, when we do our homework, we can do bullet points and then forward them on to you of what our concerns are. All right. Sounds good.
So the trustees will be approving this on their next meeting on Monday, but I wanted to show the commission this as I want the board to be aware of the dates, and as long as we have 3 members, we can move forward with the work session. How this will work is that I will be posting this calendar. We will do all the legal notices up front with this calendar, so it'll go into the newspaper as soon as it's approved. And as long as there's applications, we don't need to do any new notifications except if the meeting gets canceled. But we will be notifying the residents when it gets to the trustee meeting. And then I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I will note on the calendar on the only date that I changed that's not a Tuesday is November 3rd because of the elections. So.
And you'll have your staff report as well?
Yes.
And that'll be part of the package that goes to the trustees?
Yes, I will hope. I'm not going to be able to give you the staff report the day of I get the application, but
sure.
It will definitely, it will,
That's fine.
You'll have it.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I think it's going to be really busy over the holidays for the department. So I don't think, for the board's sake, I mean, if we want to take action on this, that's fine. It's not necessary, but I just wanted to make sure I had some consensus on moving forward with this to show to the trustees on Monday.
Let me ask you one more question. If we don't have a quorum for some reason, can we still send you comments and they get sent to the trustees?
I wouldn't oppose that. I'm fine with that. And I'm happy to do that.
And we've made this, and I had that comment when we went through this. Why do we have to have a quorum if it's an informal? And now we're calling it a work session. So,
well, if you have more than 3 members show up, it has to be in a public forum if you're discussing an application.
right.
So that's. I kind of used, there's a couple other cities that do this. They call them work sessions, but I mean, if there wasn't a quorum, I think we can still talk amongst each other. It would just then turn into an informal meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be an informal meeting with 2 people like we do currently.
I would have to notify on the record that we did not reach a quorum, so I would pretty essentially turn off the public forum part, but we can still have a discussion, so.
Okay. All right. Or I can just show up as a public for the trustees.
But obviously, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to call or email me. I think I ask for everybody's patience as this is very new, and it's so very new. We're the first ones in the county that's doing this, so it's going to be a learning experience.
After the public realizes we don't have any power in this, they're not going to be showing up at our meetings. They're going to be going to the trustee meetings.
Well, let's hope the trustees take our comments into consideration. And don't just.
I would like to think so.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for the agenda this evening. Thank you all for your patience and getting through the minutes. And like I said, I think we're going to get an application soon. So have another one in December. But mark your calendars for December 8th because I know they're coming. So.
Sounds
Can I
good.
say one thing off the record?
If we adjourn the meeting.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, just for the record, meeting's adjourned. Let me turn off the YouTube.